have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
So straight from MLK himself, judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of character. Now, I bring that up because something big recently happened. If you haven't heard, like, share, comment, hit that subscribe button if you are new. And if you would like to help me out a little bit more without any money involved, watch the video until the end. Helps out with the YouTube algorithm. All right, just watching the video longer helps out with the YouTube algorithm. So watch until the very end. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, always hit the like button, comment your thoughts and opinions. Don't be a stranger. Don't be a stranger. Comment your thoughts and your opinions in the comment section whenever you have something, all right? And let's dive in.
I'm Laura Ingraham, and this is the Ingraham Angle. Thank you for being with us tonight. Colorblind with rage. That's the focus of tonight's angle.
Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Nicole.
much.
I appreciate
it's great to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere. It's a very exciting day around here. We'll have reaction.
Well, that was interesting. Today we saw that Joe Biden has lost far more than his awareness of basic television etiquette. He's lost all credibility. After the Supreme Court's 6-3 decision striking down the use of racial preferences in college admissions, Biden was sent out by whomever winds him up to lie.
Affirmative action is so misunderstood. Many people wrongly believe that affirmative action allows unqualified students to be admitted ahead of qualified students. This is not how college admissions work.
Now, the White House comms people aren't that ignorant. They know the truth, that the entire point of racial preferences is to give minority candidates an edge, regardless of their test scores or their transcripts, their resume. It's classic discrimination, and it's based on race.
Colleges set out standards for admission, and every student has to meet those standards. Then and only then, after first meeting the qualifications required by the school, do colleges look at other factors in addition to their grades, such as race.
Okay, what's less believable? That he didn't know that Hunter was making millions off the Chinese, or that he doesn't know that affirmative action is a total scam? Now, how many of you know someone whose son or daughter didn't even get waitlisted at a university despite having stellar grades? Maybe a varsity sport, maybe high SATs, while a minority student in their class with an average or maybe even a below average academic record got in. It happens every season, thousands and thousands of times during the application process.
Allegedly,
no one
of course.
is standing up to speak out against the injustices faced by our community. And our well-deserved rights will never be realized.
Now, Justice Thomas's concurrence in the case was an absolute tour de force. The best piece of legal analysis and writing I think I've ever read. He went right at the university's reliance on racial box checking in admissions. You have to read it. All racial categories, he wrote, are little more than stereotypes, suggesting that immutable characteristics somehow conclusively determine a person's ideology, beliefs, and abilities. Of course, that's false. Members of the same race do not all share the exact same experiences and viewpoints. Far from it. A black person from rural Alabama surely has different experiences than a black person from Manhattan or a black first-generation immigrant from Nigeria.
Facts.
In the same way that a white person from rural Vermont has a different perspective than a white person from Houston, Texas. Yet universities' racial policies suggest that racial identity alone constitutes the being of the race or the man. That is the same naked racism upon which segregation itself was built. Small wonder, then, that all these policies are leading to increasing racial polarization and friction, he wrote.
Yep.
And thus the practice is obviously not just hideously unfair.
That's actually a very interesting thought process as well that I'd never, or should I say, an interesting angle. You get it? But okay. Anyway, terrible jokes aside, I never really thought about it from that perspective where that is intentional to sow more hate between the groups, right? Because we've always heard about, the elites don't want us, all on the same page. They want us all separate by certain things and always fighting each other so that we never turn and look at them and go after them. Maybe that was intentional to create or sow more hate amongst us. Interesting. Never really thought about it from that perspective.
It's constitutional under the Equal Protection Clause, the court found. Unfair to non-minorities and to the minorities themselves. Now here's more from Justice Thomas. He writes, I continue to strongly believe and have never doubted that blacks can achieve in every avenue of American life without the meddling of university administrators. Meritocratic systems with objective grading scales are critical to that belief. Such scales have always been a great equalizer, offering a metric for achievement that bigotry could not alter. Racial preferences take away this benefit, eliminating the very metric by which those who have the most to prove can clearly demonstrate their accomplishments, both to themselves and to others. He went on to discuss how historically black colleges aren't diverse at all, but have been incredibly successful at changing lives for the better and educating generation after generation of black students. Now, look, this case, truth be told, was not even a close call. And at a time when it's rare to find a strong consensus on any hot button issue, right now in America, there's overwhelming bipartisan opposition to the use of racial preferences. A new New York Times poll shows that 78% of Republicans and 72% of independents and 58% of Democrats say they oppose affirmative action at private colleges and universities. A similar finding from the annual survey by the SCOTUS poll. Look at those numbers. Wow, wow, wow. Now, certainly, most Americans will be relieved by the court's ruling today. But not everyone was happy. Just look at these faces. Now think about it. They're mad that universities can no longer discriminate based on race.
Crazy,
They're
right?
upset that the court followed the original meaning of the Equal Protection Clause. They're mortified that their diversity shell game has been exposed for what it is.
It's crazy. Like she said, they're mad because you can't discriminate based on race. They're mad that we're now following MLK's dream, not judging people by the color of their skin. They're mad about that. And they'll try to twist it and bend it and make it sound like this horrible, terrible thing that it's gone. But in reality, it's beautiful. In reality, it's a slap in the face to black people. In reality, I think I think another reason why, something like that is being done is to keep black people dependent. That's just my personal opinion, because if you never challenge someone to grow, if you, okay, I see it for all of my gym goers, right? I've been trying to get back into shape recently. Okay. You see the guns. I got pulled over the other day. Officer asked me if I had a permit for him. I almost went to jail, but I told him I backed the blue, so he let me go. Anyway, right? Think of it like a muscle. Our bodies are very complex machines. Our bodies, our muscles respond to stimulation. The more stress we put on them, the more they grow. If we don't put any stress on them, they start to shrivel up. Think about that with the Democrats and Black America. If you never push a group, or a muscle group in this case, like I was talking about, to grow, there's no point in it growing. It won't grow. Of course, you'll always have your outliers. Yes, there's always outliers in every situation. But like I said, I think that's being done intentionally. Black people are capable of doing anything and everything that every other race is capable of doing. And it's so frustrating to hear the media try to tell black people that they can't. Oh, no, we need to help you. No, you don't. No, you don't. Leave us alone. How about that? Treat us like you treat everybody else. That's the way that it should be. Everybody, no matter what your race is, tall, short, fat, skinny, gay, or straight, I don't care. We're all on the same playing field. That's the way that it should be. And it's sad to see some of mainstream media trying to convince people that it shouldn't be that way, that we should discriminate based on some of these other random things. When it comes to college, hey, do you have the grades? Do you have the test scores? Do you have those? May the best man win, or woman.
Not just unconstitutional, but grossly unfair, stigmatizing, and frankly, just patronizing. For decades, liberals leaned into the diversity charade, shaming colleges into using admissions to right past wrongs and achieve a more diverse student body. But despite all that, all those years of diversifying, their conclusion now is that America is somehow more racist than ever. But their finger pointing about racism is pointing right back at them. Because with their reactions today, we're reminded that they're the most racist and intolerant bunch out there.
Facts.
And I'm telling you, they will not give up. They never give up easy. In fact, Biden's not sure that the court's decision is even the end of the issue.
We cannot let this decision be the last word. I want to emphasize, we cannot let this decision be the last word.
Can't let it, no. Now, what happened to reviving faith in our government, Joe, and our democracy, Mr. President? Wasn't that the whole shtick that you pulled in 2021? But is the court now not part of all that? It's not part of the democratic process? Last time I checked, it was one of the 3 branches of government. The Angle suspects that many colleges will try some clever moves to try to get around this ruling, or maybe even try to ignore it altogether. Remember, they only respect judicial decisions they agree with, maybe like the gay marriage case or the state voting rules cases handed down earlier this week. As for the Constitution, a lot of those same radicals believe it's a document that was written by a bunch of old dead white guys, so its words need to be kind of like silly putty. You can just flex them and stretch them as much as you want to fit any situation. And if the court doesn't rule accordingly, well, it's just illegitimate.
The majority decided that race can only be solved by ignoring what is so evident in every aspect of our lives.
The ethics and the scandals, that hangs over the court, as well as the larger legitimacy question.
I fear what will happen, and will there be many lawyers who look like Charles and I in the future, or doctors, or accountants? It is a problem, and it's not preferential treatment.
Now, they can fume all they want, but as one of the main forces behind the case, Edward Blum remarked today, this opinion marks the beginning of the restoration of the colorblind legal covenant that binds together all multiracial and our multi-ethnic nation.
Yes, ma'am.
But not according to the deeply negative view of America from the court's newest and arguably the most activist justice. Ketanji Brown Jackson, well, despite recusing herself from hearing Harvard's companion case, she decided to chime in on the NC State decision, coming darn close to personally attacking Justice Clarence Thomas, who wrote, as I said, that powerful concurrence. Jackson accused him of having, quote, an obsession with race consciousness. And also this. She wrote, the takeaway is that those who demand no one think about race, a classic pink elephant paradox, refuse to see, much less solve for, the elephant in the room, the race-linked disparities that continue to impede achievement of our our nation's great potential. Our country, she writes, has never been colorblind. Justice Clarence Thomas, again, in that barn burner of a concurrence, wrote a devastating rebuke to follow Justice Jackson. As she sees things, we are all inexorably trapped in a fundamentally racist society, with the original sin of slavery and the historical subjugation of Black Americans still determining our lives today. Worse still, Justice Jackson uses her broad observations about statistical relationships between race and select measures of health, wealth, and well-being to label all Blacks as victims. Her desire to do so is unfathomable to me. Are Americans to be perpetually divided by race? The elites say yes, but a good majority of Americans and 6 Supreme Court justices on the court say no. Politicians who defend the racial spoils system that has roiled so much of American society, they do so because they want to keep the people scared and divided. After decades of Democrats in charge and their fake appeals for racial healing, what's happened to urban America? It's worse. It's worse off, not better off.
That is a great point. That is a fantastic point. For all of this crying and complaining, for all of this diversity, equity, and inclusion, whatever else, what has improved? Have things gotten better or worse? Oh, they've actually gotten worse. So maybe you're doing something wrong here. But of course, Democrats, oh no, it's the Republicans. It's the MAGA Republicans. They are sabotaging our efforts. Goodness gracious.
Healing, real healing, comes when all Americans are treated equally without regard to race. The left fears what we're building. A multiracial, multi-ethnic coalition that believes in helping American workers and upholding our Constitution. And that's the angle.
And that is the angle. Upholding the Constitution, not bending and stretching it to fit whatever situation. No, it is the Constitution, all right, which shall not be infringed or stretched or bent. Yeah. Happy about that decision from the Supreme Court. Happy about it, even though, like I said earlier, the left will try to convince us that it's a terrible thing. Oh my goodness. You had these folks on, I don't even know who they were. Oh my goodness, Black people aren't going to be lawyers anymore. So basically what you're telling me is Black people are incapable of competing against other races without an advantage. That's what you're telling me. Black people are incapable of competing. They just can't do it. That's basically what you're telling me. Black people have to be handed that position. I'm sorry, but I don't believe that about Black people. Which goes to show, like she was saying, who's the actual racist political side of this. It's Democrats. It's blatantly obvious. It can't be any more clear. Republicans are like, no, we're not going to look at race. We're not going to look at skin color. We shouldn't look at skin color. That should not matter. And Democrats are like, no, skin color does matter. But they always accuse Republicans of being racist. How does that work? What a coinky dink, huh? What a coinky dink. But as always, man, y'all let me know what you thought about this one in the comment section below. Thank you. I seriously thank you for watching to this point. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. I greatly appreciate you guys. I definitely want to grow and, you know, spread the message to more and more folks. And watching the video to this point helps out with that. It really does, because it tells YouTube to push this video out to more people. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all have a blessed day. I'm out.